That's Luke Black announcing himself to Serbia.
It's January 2023, and his song Samo mi si spava has just dropped.
I love it!
This is sexual.
Oh my gosh, the quality, the production.
It's a surprise, isn't it? This is a surprise.
You hear that beat? The beat is... Oh my god.
It all started so well.
I can't wait to showcase all of the possibilities that I could do if I had a bigger stage in my career.
He had the backing of Constractor, who had just placed 5th in Turin, giving Serbia its best result at Eurovision in a decade.
I will tell you, I listened to this Samo Mrs. Pava, Luke Black. I sing that one.
You're a backing vocalist?
No, I'm just singing in my head.
Oh.
La, 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 Samo Mrs. Pava.
The national selection, PZE, it was so close. He was a fan favorite, but it was unclear whether this bedroom artist would prove a hit with the juries too.
But it did. He placed 2nd, with both the public and industry professionals pushing him to the top.
Pod rednim brojem 10, samo mi se spava, Luke Black.
This is Luke speaking to our Sinan moments after winning.
Oh my god. It was like a blow in my stomach when I like saw the jury vote and like the public, and like I'm just like, I don't know, like I'm so happy. I hope they will clap. I'm like Tinkerbell, like you need to clap for me to like keep sparkling.
The applause continued until it didn't.
Some people said his entry wasn't Serbian enough.
But when tragedy struck in Belgrade just before Eurovision, he was forced to become a national symbol.
8 pupils and a security guard have been killed in a school shooting in the Serbian capital, Belgrade.
I really want to say to my country, please stay safe, and this will pass, but we need to, address this properly.
How did he hold it together with the whole nation watching?
Serbia, they keep kind of putting everything on your shoulders, as though I'm a politician or something like that.
And did it tarnish his experience in Liverpool?
I was like crying so much in the hotel room. We would go out to get food, and then I would run into the toilet to cry.
This is a story of what really happened at Eurovision. Hey, you guys, it's William calling from Wee Wee Blogs.
And it's Freddie here too. The songs competing in Serbia's national selection for Eurovision 2024 have just dropped.
But before we dive into this year, we need to pay homage to the man who became a European cult favorite ahead of Liverpool.
Mr. Luke Black. It was hard to know, ahead of PZE last year, whether this avant-garde take on industrial electropop, Samo mi se spava, would even garner enough attention.
You know that expression, always bet on black? Well, his success, Freddie, it was not guaranteed.
No, that's right. The performance, it looked neat and tidy on stage, but the road to the stage, well, it was a lot messier than that.
Yeah, we asked Luke all about it at the end of last year. Here are the highlights. Luke Black, huge star now. You won PZE 23 in Serbia. This really put you on the radar for a lot of people outside of Serbia. I just want to rewind and start there, this positive moment, this peak. The moments after that, what was that like for you?
I don't really remember. I remember applying just in order to promote my song. At the time it was called Sleep Forever, and then I translated it into Serbian to Samo mi se spava. And I was doing like a bedroom production, like I didn't even pay for the song, like it's just out of my bedroom with my really close friends who happen to be really, really, really talented creatives from London. And we conceptualized the performance. We were like, okay, we're going to treat this as some sort of like a music video. If you don't win, it's fine. You'll get the video. That was the point of it. But then, I was surprised to have won because I didn't expect the Serbian audience to like it, really. I really didn't. And I think that was a really big surprise. There was a moment up to the finale where my song was getting so much traction and engagement in terms of comments and, maybe not views as much, but because like loads of other people had like millions and millions of views in one day. But I think like that spoke to me a lot, and it really woke me up at that point, and I didn't really realize what was going on, but the Serbian media made it really real with like loads of stuff that they've been writing, and I got like my Serbian media treatment. I got like to taste that cake, and I will never have it again.
But what was the kind of initial reaction? Because if it was quite popular, I mean, obviously you won, so there must have been some kind of positive reaction from Serbian media itself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I think like our country is kind of like quite gentle with everything in a way where it gets, it starts having theories why someone won. And it's always like, oh, you know, the articles were mostly coming from the Serbian established stars as well, that, you know, it was rigged or something like that I won. How can I win if I'm, you know, like a nobody, and there were so many people who were already established who competed that like didn't get to win, and blah blah blah. So it started like almost on a negative note. It was only like after Eurovision that kind of like that turnaround of media happened with me because of the tragic events that happened, and they were surprised that I was talking maturely about it. So they were like, oh, he's not bad actually. So yeah, so we that was the turnover, I guess, like with the media, and from then on it was quite good, and the reception was I think better.
I think a lot of Eurovision fans would be surprised because we assumed you were a massive star when you won PZE 23. So could you compare yourself in terms of your popularity before that show and the other competitors? Where would you rank yourself?
At that point, oh, definitely like a bedroom artist. Like, I mean, it's a really funny kind of like, what's it called? Like an oxymoron. I've been making music since I was 15, 16 in my hometown in Serbia, and it was always in English, and it was always idea-wise. I made concepts that are worth like millions and millions of pounds, and I had like zeros and only zeros, not the ones. It all seemed really pretty and developed and expensive, I guess, as though I'm a star, because I really worked hard on every project that I had. But it's in reality, it's the same way with PZE, it like literally bedroom production. And even if it seems like, you know, there's this big robot that like, you know, my friend Razorade, who made the robot, he worked with Grimes, and you know, Furman and Vaso, they worked with Ashniko and loads of you know, like really influential pop musicians. And then there is me, who's like, oh, you know, can you spare a bit of your talent for me? But yeah, I would definitely wouldn't think of myself, even now, even after Eurovision, I think like, you know, in the span of Eurovision, you get to be this big star and you get treated, and once it's done, it's just nothing, like nothing happened. But I really like it because, you know, I can play video games without like being super tired and exhausted from loads of touring and loads of, you know what I mean, and I can just make music, and I'm back to where I was, I think. Only there's loads of more people liking me, so that's good.
We take it back to PZE, and you got your kind of first initial kind of reactions from the press. Were you prepared for that kind of stuff? Does it wash over you very easily?
I think what's good about me is that I was able to communicate even through some provoking that I had in the media. I surprised myself in a way of being able to handle communications and conversations very smartly, I would say. I was never actually provoked. I wasn't ready for it. But to be honest, like, you know, when I do music, I don't really think about it. I just make it and release it, and you know, maybe it's too dark, maybe it's not up to everybody's taste, but you know, I just do it, and then the performance as well and winning, I never really thought about it. I just went to the interview 1, 2, 3, 4, like I had to go. What I wasn't prepared for actually was when they started like harassing my parents, you know, for some deep info or secret. Like there must have been something wrong with me, because like, I don't know, they were trying to find it out, and they didn't, but that was a big reality check. Like, I remember they went to my mom's pharmacy, or like the news reports, and like just like trying to find some dirt on like me. I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't really thinking that people actually do it. I was thinking it's always orchestrated what you want out or not, but they were actually like investigating everything about me. Across the street from my dad's place, there's a suit shop, and I remember I saw that shop on TV. They were interviewing the guy from across the road. They were like, "Oh, he's really nice. He always recycles." And I'm like, what the hell? I guess I wasn't really thinking about it. In hindsight, I think it was interesting.
But it also must be a little hurtful. We came across one headline. They were accusing you of being part of the Illuminati. Are you a part of the Illuminati?
I think like when you really think about it, it's really funny, because I'm literally just a bedroom musician. I just make my stuff there, and I would reckon that if they were thinking that I was in the Illuminati, like I would have to be at least rich or something, or powerful, and I'm just like struggling doing bedroom production, pulling favors here and there to make stuff happen. So, no.
Good answer. I think a lot of the backlash, and correct me if I'm wrong, seemed to stem from the fact that your music kind of resonated a lot with kind of a wider queer audience.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of misconception about the visual, actually. The music was kind of like pop industrial, half English, half Serbian, and it was talking about a really dark topic that is literally, since the beginning of time, we had turmoil that has happened, and now with the presence of internet and everything, we know things that are happening, and we're turning a blind eye. And it was like a really critical thing. And I wanted to showcase it with this big giant robot, but with a big sensational pop choreo, like Lady Gaga style, and, performance art as well. And I think, seeing a giant metallic robot and like unplugging people from like really like matrix like cables, and doing, all of that pop, like a male artist having a pop choreo, centralized, making a lotus flower, being kind of dramatic. I think I'm really happy that it resonated with queer people, but I also think it resonated a lot with the older, mature audience in Serbia, which was a really surprising thing for me. They loved it. The gamers, the people in the 80s, were in Yugoslavia, they were like listening to. We were a country that had like loads of rock music, rock festivals. Like it was an amazing kind of time music-wise, and I think they started getting excited about an artist in Serbia after they saw that. And the queer scene, obviously, like, yeah, Samo Mrs. Pava is perfect for a drag performance as well. I think most of my new music, actually, I think the drag queens are gonna love it.
And earlier you mentioned that a lot of the top celebrities, they were part of the backlash. They weren't kind, and they were creating theories about why you won. Did any pop stars come out to defend you? Who was on your side? Oh,
that's an interesting question. This is really weird, but like there was always in my head, you had two big stars in Serbia. One is called JK and one is called Ceca. And I was always on the side of the JK because she was like mostly supporting LGBT community and everything. And the other person was kind of, throughout history, I don't even know what she's gone through, but great music. But, I can't really stand for the personality. But then it flipped because like Ceca was the one who supported me. And the JK person, she was the one who was criticizing me. So I was like, oh, wait. I'm really surprised that this happened. The biggest supporter, there was a Seka Aleksic is her name as well. People love her on Twitter right now. She started being like a really like a gal pal on Twitter. And most importantly, Marija Šerifović, who won Eurovision in 2007. Yeah, with Molitva, like she was the one who was supporting me a lot. So I think like that was really great. And obviously Constructa, but let's not put her there in that category. But yeah, there were. But the loads of people who weren't supporting me stemmed from being on the management side of the artists that were, like, or parts of the label. It's just how they, function. Like, some people don't have any manners. And I think, like, that's how they think the business is done. Like, you undermine a young talent because your person in your label didn't win, and, you hold the media, and then you start writing the Illuminati and satanic kind of things. And yeah, I would have to say that definitely with the backlash that I had from some of the people who are like really big in diaspora, I think like they didn't vote for me in the end because I think they satanized me, basically. Like, they were sending a message to everybody who's like following them, in the other countries where they live, that I'm like this really, really bad person, and I'm sharing this like end of the world message. And
just to clarify, for people who didn't follow, a lot of the rival acts and big names were accusing you of worshiping the devil, being the devil.
Yeah. They were. I've never really thought about it. I really thought that this performance was kind of anti-globalistic in a way. Like, it's not that I'm anti-globalistic, but like in a way it's like when you have a film and it's always like you're fighting this big corporation that wants to take over the world. And I think like in video games you have that a lot. So I was fighting the quote devil or something, whatever.
Can you give us a flavor of what the kind of industry is like in Serbia? I know you're based in London, you've kind of worked mostly in London, but how interconnected is everyone then?
I don't have any friends in the music industry in Serbia, apart from Constructa. Parts of it is a bit more my fault, because I'm kind of like, when I find someone, like, I just don't need anyone else. But and that's not a good advice for musicians. Network. I think like I've noticed through some of my younger friends that there's a collective of people supporting each other's pop music right now that's on the rise. There are people that are kind of changing the industry back to at least coexisting with Serbian folk music. One of the biggest reasons why I moved to London basically is like when I started out, there was no Spotify, there was nothing, and I just didn't want to make music for the market. I'm just making music because I love it. So I wouldn't know how to market it, to be honest. I don't even know how to market it in London, but like, it's definitely more of a home for what I do. And I think like I like developed as an artist here a lot.
You mentioned up-and-coming artists. Constructa took you under her wing. Why do you think she was able to see and value you in a way others in Serbia weren't?
That's a really good question. I think, so back in 2010, I messaged through YouTube Zemlja Gruva, which is Constructa's band, and I kind of like always saw her. I thought she was the face of the band, right? And then I opened it up, and it was Milovan, the producer, and I was like, oh wait, who's this guy? It was really bad because I expected a beautiful black-haired woman, and there was Milovan. But I started working with them. They understood my music. It's about love, Constructa has been making amazing, really deep, really altruistic kind of music, and I think that there was no place for a long time for that in the hearts of Serbian people, or they just don't have the media attention. Like, there was loads of people who found out about me and they were like, where were you for all these 10 years you were there and we didn't know about you. Like with her as well, like when she went with Incorpore Sano, I think like people were like, oh, what the hell, like she's been here, and they started discovering her catalog, and I was there for the most of it, really, like all of the songwriting processes that they had as a band, and I was also working with them before. So I think her supporting me on PZE, if you think we're Eurovision, is based a lot on our friendship. But I don't know, it's just really two artists understanding each other and drinking tea and talking about candles, and she has a similar kind of brain like me, So I guess like in that kind of way, she really supports artists, like young artists as well. Like you can see her being really, really supportive of everybody who was at PZE as well, who was younger and up and coming. And I really admired that greatly.
So whilst we were in Liverpool, obviously you had that amazing interview with William when that awful tragedy in Belgrade happened. And you said the press kind of changed. Why do you think they changed because of that? Because you were more human, or?
I think there was a really big misconception about me throughout years of my career, if I can call it like that. But I was always like in Serbia, like I was never media trained. So I released my first single, Degeneration, which was about like the critique of the modern society back in 2012 when I wrote it. And I went to the morning show, and they were asking me about the song, and I started like explaining it, like from an artistic point of view, and people are like, oh, who the hell he thinks he is? Like, we don't want to listen. Oh, he thinks he's so smart, or he's very snobby. He thinks it, like, like you can't like explain that you have a proper stream of consciousness that brought the song. And I think like every time I went to interviews, I was always talking about art, really. With winning PZE, I think, I don't know, I just think people thought I was really stuck up or something like that, just because of my approach to how I talk about art and music. In Serbia, that's not, like, you can't really talk about that, because it's like nobody finds it interesting and people would think you're full of it. Here it's different, because like obviously the music and the art behind music, pop music at least, kind of originated here as well. So that's why I say I feel more like at home for my music here. And I think I wasn't media trained for the interviews about the tragedy. It was a really difficult time. Like I had, half of the country kind of hated me because like they treat Eurovision really seriously, as though it's like some, big thing. I mean, it's a music competition. Like, I love it, but like, seriously, like Eurovision in Serbia, they keep kind of putting everything on your shoulders, as though I'm a politician or something like that, that I was going to do something, important for the country. After the tragedies, I was saying like, it's really weird to kind of just go and everybody's happy, on Eurovision, even though everybody, is stressed out and there's loads of rush and the artists as well. And we were talking like, I was friendly with loads of artists, and I knew that they were under a lot of stress about things, and it's not all like fireworks, but still, like, loads of people are also having fun. They're there to have fun, and here I am, I'm supposed to sing, I guess. You would call that singing, like in Samo mi se spava, and I felt really weird to perform, and especially after Eurovision, to go back home, because I don't think like it was a time to actually do that. Like, tragedies happen, right? But it's children, and it's like really close to home, and it you send your child to school and they don't come back. And I was like crying so much in the hotel room in Liverpool. Like, I was not being, we would go out to get food, and then I would run into the toilet to cry, because I wouldn't be able to like sit for 30 minutes without crying. And I really felt like I don't want to do it. I had to, for some reason, be on TV, on national TV, to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like me, I mean, I was supported obviously by the delegation, but it was like people were like waiting what I'm going to say. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like I'm the queen, of Serbia. And then I remember I was like, well, okay, I mean, we'll go on TV. And then I just said how I felt. And people were like, oh, like what did they expect that I was going to say? I mean, I don't really know. Like, but I think they really like how I approached everything and made it really tasteful, I guess.
Was it hard to perform?
Well, I mean, there were so many things. I met up with my choreographer yesterday. She's in London. We're working on something called Project December. But we were talking about it, and she was watching my concerts from London, and she asked me like, oh my God, where was that guy? Yeah, I was looking at the concert in London, and she was like, who like you're such a performer, like, and on Eurovision, you were really like, I was kind of tired. It was very difficult. I said to her, I was the producer, I wasn't the performer. On Eurovision, I literally was 90% the producer and then 10% of the performer, you know. And there's a reason why people have loads of people in their team, which is, you know, so that the performer goes and has fun and can go into that. And being on my concert allowed me to do that. So there was that thing. I wasn't literally a performer. There was no performance charisma. There was no performance getting ready for the performance. It was, getting everything ready that the performance can happen. And then I went on stage. The tragedies in Serbia made it more difficult because I didn't really feel like doing it. And there was a moment where I was like, oh my God, I don't want to seem like a diva, but I'm here to perform and everything, but at the same time, like, I was like, I don't want to do it. Like, you get this opportunity once in your lifetime, and then I'm like, oh, but I don't want to do it. It just doesn't make sense anymore. And kind of like the song itself, like, I'm like, just like, I'll just give up, I'm signing off. I didn't really want to do it. I really didn't think it was like a time and place for any performance. Luckily, I'm quite melancholic and depressed. So like, I wasn't there like the hurricane, like just flashing it all out. So it had a somber kind of quality, the performance. So it kind of did respect things in a certain way. But yeah, I would say like I definitely, for the semifinal or the final, I don't even remember, but I felt really weird doing it. And I don't feel sad about feeling that way when I think about it. Like, I don't think like, oh my God, but it happened once, it's never going to happen again, I should have actually tried to embrace the moment, maybe for myself, and be a bit selfish at that point, so I can actually make it all happen and perform. But I just didn't, and I'm fine with it. Maybe like I would have gotten like even a better result or something if I was putting my my energy into it, but I just didn't care at the end. I mean, it's really sad to say, but there are really bigger problems than Eurovision. Going back home was really weird because I didn't want to go on TV and talk about the unfortunate incidents, and I just came here to London and kind of slept through all of my obligations after Eurovision that I had to do. I just didn't do them.
And the 90% producer, what were some of the things you were doing rather than focusing on the performance? Were you like literally buttoning up the dancers?
I mean, yeah, at times. I mean, I received the news that they liked my song sometime before, like in January, before they announced it. And I started working on it then. And the end of my work finished actually when I released I'm So Happy, my post-Eurovision single. I was constantly on that work mode. That entails, opening up an Excel spreadsheet and then just putting the names of all of the movable parts and members of the team, and then their contact details, and then getting everything ready, planning out trips for the dancers, getting cost estimates, having, like all of that, budgeting, calling the taxi, making sure that they're on time, making sure that everybody gets the message, creating separate groups on WhatsApp because you don't want to overburden some people. If there's choreo, I have a choreo group, but then there's choreo and direction group. And then there's so many things. And I remember I was even carrying there's a photo, I forgot where it is, but I fell in like a really big pile of mud before the PZE performance because I was carrying the prop. It was really difficult. It came from London, from my friend Furman sent it, and I was loading it off the truck. I also organized the transportation and necessary papers for it to be delivered in Serbia and to pay all of the customs. And then on Eurovision, you want to make sure that everybody's in the bus at the same time. I wasn't alone doing it, but still, like, if you don't do it yourself in a way, you are the one who cares the most about your project. So like, at certain times, if I turn the blind eye or like try to rest, things would go downhill. So I would have to and we had a really big mishap actually before Eurovision. The new sculpture that we made fell apart once it arrived to the Liverpool arena. So the mechanism that we envisioned for the cable removal didn't work, so I had to do crisis management, and then we had to rebuild it. BBC and the production were really, really kind to let us work on that there, because you shouldn't do that. But they were really kind to my team, and they allowed us. But it's fine. I really love the idea. I'm telling you, the ideas are bigger than myself. So it's something that I have as an idea, and then to reach the goal, that's the enjoyable part, maybe.
Have you rewatched the performance?
No. I actually rewatched the finale because my producer said that it was uploaded in mono, and then I was like, what? And I was trying to figure it out with the AI, to see what kind of the quality of the exports of the audio is. And I was really surprised that it really was. I was rewatching mobile phone recordings because I think I forgot at that certain point that it's actually Eurovision is a televised show. I literally did not care. I was like, oh, the arena, the people there, and I'm performing for them. And I was literally unaware of all the cameras. I didn't even know what was happening at that time. But the reaction from the people, there was almost 10,000 people there, and they were all screaming. And when I watched the semifinal, you can hear the audience better because it was kind of a better sound quality. And literally every 15 seconds, whatever I would do, the whole arena would scream, and I was like, oh my god, maybe I'll win. I remember I was like, wait, what? Because I didn't think people would like it, and then all of a sudden, everything, if I move there, they scream. And then when I rewatched it, I was like, wow, there was so many really cool epic moments from the performance. But I think definitely what I rewatch is the arena, filling out the missing line from my song, and and I love them. I mean, and the amount of people that I met after that, as fans actually, of my music after Eurovision, really, really, really priceless.
You talked a bit about the kind of tech aspects. I remember when I bumped into you in the green room. Was it probably before the jury final, and you were saying that your earpiece. You were really upset because you couldn't hear yourself in the thing. Was it all right on the night?
Well, there were so many things happening. I think they changed the sound a lot, or I don't know, maybe I'm not experienced enough. I mean, that's also a really big possibility. I remember, it's a really difficult song to sing. You're lying down and you're singing in an airy voice. There was no chance, even though they told me just maybe kind of try to belt it out a bit more. Conceptually, when you're waking up from your really long sleep, you won't actually be Pavarotti, you're gonna be and trying to keep it that. And I think loads of artists there were with really strong voices. I was more a Billie Eilish approach, and I don't think it was really. It's difficult to really mix it and get the inner monitoring right once you're singing really quietly. If it's really difficult, you need to do loads of noise cancellation on the mic. You need to do a lot of compression. You need to do loads of EQing. You need to get the lows out because you're not going to be using it, and then boost up the mid range so you would actually hear the consonants and everything. So it's really difficult. I think I didn't hear myself on the family show. Yeah, it was during the day. I literally didn't hear myself. It was I was singing and I was like, well, what comes out, comes out. I had removed at one point, but you can't see that because the frames were really far away. But I removed literally, I think in the semi-final. Like I removed one of my earpieces just so I can hear myself actually better, I guess. But it was fine, and also as an artist and a performer in a very high, like a tense, high risk performance, very important performance. It's really important to, even though there is a mistake or a mishap, imagine I was on Glastonbury and then all of a sudden start singing, and we did have a sound rehearsal, but in those festivals you can't really have a proper sound rehearsal like it's your own show. Mm-hmm. So basically, imagine like it started like I couldn't hear myself. I should be able to, as a performer, go through those things and then learn how to fix that situation for myself at that point when I'm performing. So I think like I don't mind it really. I wasn't really that mad about it. It was just, kind of when you have like the pressure of your country on your back, you kind of want to make it perfect for them. If it was just my show, I would just, in China, I remember when I was on tour, like the sound guy just didn't want to turn off the reverb. I was waving, and it was all like wherever I move, like you can get the mic feedback, and I just like put the mic down and sang without the mic. I was literally like, whatever. You need to learn how to manage all of that.
And in the aftermath of Eurovision, there was this huge debate this year about the jury versus the televote. Where do you stand? Should it be reformed? Should we get rid of the juries?
I don't really know. I would have to say that I'm not like a really big, massive Eurovision fan, so I don't think like my opinion matters. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't have much knowledge in order to be like, oh, the jury is bad or the public vote is bad. I think, I'm always skeptical about when there's a room of people that are secretly put in to put a vote. Like you can always, I'm not saying it is, but you can always kind of influence people to go in a certain direction. I'm not saying it happened, so I would like to believe that it doesn't. So I think it's quite important, actually, then that you have like juries of if they're really good musicians and they know their stuff, and and it's important to be like varied. You can't just have like bunch of old white men, like being like, oh yeah, this is good, this is not good. That's what we had on PZE on first night, and they thought I can't swear, but and then once the young people were in the finale, they all gave me point. You know what I mean? Like it's really, but also at the same time, art, when you put your song out there with Eurovision, and it's very subjective. So the jury then would mean that each person depends on luck on who is in jury and what their mood is like that day. You know what I mean? Like it's really, really, really a tactile kind of thing. Like I think the public, in a way, they're watching the show, they're making it happen, actually. Like, I mean, they really are. Like if nobody watched Eurovision from the audience and the public, it wouldn't exist. And I think that's why they are the most important. Even though I had like 16 votes, like it's not like I'm really happy about the public vote, but like I think, whatever they say.
Sorry to zigzag all over the place, but I was just thinking, you talked a lot about having the pressure of Serbia on your back and how they held you in such like basically a politician. Why is it so important for Serbians? Why is Eurovision so big and important for Serbians? What's it like?
I mean, it is, an important show. Like it's you're representing your country in a way. Like my country has gone through so many bad things, and people are really confused. And there were protests like right after Eurovision. I remember they were like literally holding up the banners with the quotes from my song, which was like against the government, but it was like a revolt for the nothing being done after the terrible accident that happened throughout Eurovision. It's their time to have fun after so many things that are happening. You know, people are not that happy in Serbia, you know, with like the work payment system and blah blah blah. Like, you know, it's not you know, still not good place for, you know, the LGBT community. But like, still, I think they consider Eurovision as, you know, well, it's sponsored by the government, by tax, right? Payments, national TV. I don't even know where the money comes from, but like, they paid for it, and it's their time to have fun. It's their once a year, you know, it's theirs, and like, you know, you have to do that, and that's why I think like they put a lot of focus and importance on who's representing Serbia on Eurovision. Like, there's so much like public opinion. I think like I understand to a certain point, you know, when wanting to escape, I understand that better than anyone, and I think that Eurovision is definitely like a really escapist period for people in Serbia.
Luke Black, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much.